morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hopefully, you all had a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Right now, I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about something that you're extremely passionate about, or that what is your passion project? Got it? Okay, so are you working a 9 to 5 job also right now? Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about transitioning into maybe being self employed or an entrepreneur. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Maddie. I help run the social media for Rise the Membership. And in my full time job, I am a self employed entrepreneur as a personal trainer and online coach. So, today, fitting with our adulting theme, I wanted to talk about 4 things that I think would be helpful if you're transitioning into a self employed job or transitioning into an entrepreneur, because I'm guessing a lot of women who are tuning in right now or liking our page probably have that entrepreneur mindset as well. So, the first big thing I want to talk about is time management. As someone who's self employed, I have noticed that getting my timing right and being very on top of things is extremely important. Obviously, it's important for everything, whether that be a 9 to 5 job you have, your social life, anything, but especially when you're running your own business and you're in charge of everything yourself, time management is super important. I think that definitely relates to adulting, because I don't know if anyone or if everyone my age as a 23-year-old carries a planner around like I do, but that is definitely something I recommend, is writing everything down, carrying around a planner, and just being super on top of your timing. Secondly, something super important I want to talk about is savings and taxes, which I know is very important for whether you work a 9 to 5 job, whether you do freelance, or whether you're an entrepreneur, and definitely fits into our adulting theme, because taxes are such an adult thing. And I think we all wish that we learned taxes in like high school or college, because I definitely do. First, I would recommend, if you're thinking about maybe transitioning into a full-time entrepreneur job or just working on a side hustle, having some kind of cushion in your savings. Obviously, that's not super important. Maybe if you have someone who can also support you, but having that little bit of cushion in your savings can definitely help make you feel better about the transitioning period into being self-employed or being an entrepreneur and running your own business. Secondly, I would look into things like healthcare coverage, dental care coverage, things like that. That's definitely something I didn't really think about right away when I transitioned into being self employed, and something I wish maybe someone would have told me. So I'm telling you that something to think about, making sure that you can get healthcare coverage and things like that if you decide you want to move the route of being self employed or becoming an entrepreneur. And then thirdly, related to this, is knowing how to do self-employed taxes, because I know they're a little different than if you were to fill out just a normal W-2 tax or a 1099 form. Self-employed taxes, you do annual taxes and quarterly taxes. They can be a bit confusing, so definitely do your research. I also recommend QuickBooks Self-Employed. Makes it super easy. So if you are thinking about transitioning to being self-employed, I definitely recommend purchasing that, and it'll just make things so much easier. So that's a big thing, I think. Saving money and just making sure you think about the kind of boring stuff, maybe not to call it boring, but like the adulting stuff. Um, a next tip I would say would be to set check-ins for your goals. So personally, I have to check in every couple months to see if I'm meeting the goals I want, getting the clients I want for personal training. When I first went self-employed, I set a number of clients and a number of things I wanted to do within a year. So I've set check-ins for goals throughout the year just to make sure I'm on track and things are going right. I think even whether or not you're self-employed or an entrepreneur, I think check-ins for goals can just be important no matter what. So even if you're watching this and you're like, I don't want to be an entrepreneur, self-employed, I like my 9 to 5 job, I still think a lot of these tips can relate to you, like check-ins for goals, whether that be for your self-care check-in for goals, or checking in for goals with your 9 to 5 job or just things going on in your life, I think that could be super helpful. The last tip, which I think can be a scary tip, especially for someone my age transitioning kind of into that adult life and into an entrepreneur life, is not being afraid to put yourself out there. So don't be afraid to cold call people and ask to collaborate with them, message them on Facebook, on Instagram, invite them to support you by liking your business page, things like that. And again, I think that can relate to anything you do in life. If you have a passion project, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and reach out to people. But especially if you're self employed, it can be scary thinking about that. And you might be concerned that you don't want to sound too like self promoty and stuff like that. But I think it can be really beneficial to just not be afraid and put yourself out there. And most of the time, people will respect you for taking that leap. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Make sure to comment if you have any questions about anything I talked about or any other tips just about transitioning into being self employed or an entrepreneur. I am happy to answer any. And I hope you all have an amazing Sunday. And if you're in Minnesota like me, stay warm. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.